That is the thing about us humans. We have such an immense capacity to sustain pain and discomfort that we have normalized suffering. We see it as a part of life, unavoidable. And because of that, these stages are a natural progression in coming to terms with what is. Hi again, welcome back to Earthshine Collective. My name is Liz, and on this channel we support your conscious evolution through our emotional well-being series. In our daily lives, we encounter various pleasant experiences. We may get news from a good old friend, have an insightful conversation with a colleague, or receive a nice compliment. However, less pleasant or even distressing events are part of our daily experiences as well. We get stuck in a traffic jam, quarantine during a global pandemic, have a dispute with our partner, witness or endure armed conflict, or must complete tasks we don't feel like doing. It is undeniable that life brings about both pleasant and unpleasant events, and although both experiences are an inevitable part of our daily life, we employ different strategies to deal with them. In general, we embrace positive and pleasant things and tend to resist or fight unpleasant ones. The reason is, of course, self-evident. We don't want to experience discomfort, so we resist it. These distressing moments may vary from relative minor events such as forgetting an appointment to more intense ones like the death of a loved one. We frequently do our best to forget these types of situations and the feelings that go along with them, or we make an effort to get over them as fast as we can, sometimes by avoiding them with distractions and other times by suppressing them with unhealthy habits. Since most of us were not taught and therefore have no resources or practice processing the feelings that are difficult for us to accept, our automatic response is to get rid of those unpleasant situations and states, which immediately results in a struggle or conflict. We are conflicted between how things are now, unwanted or bad, and how things should be, wanted and good. We can say that when something is unpleasant now, in this moment, it kind of feels like pain, and we want nothing to do with pain. We want to get rid of it and fast. If I experience fear in this moment, a conflict emerges because I say to myself, I don't want to feel fear. I don't want this fear to be present. So my mind gets occupied focusing on the fear that it's already there. And we know what the mind does with whatever we choose to focus on. Spin stories about it. Since our brain have been evolutionary and continue to be socially conditioned to register adverse events more easily, my mind will craft narratives about how I shouldn't be feeling this way, how it is wrong for me to feel this way, and how am I not good or worthy enough to feel better. If we start resisting current experiences, a conflict immediately occurs between what is happening right now and what our mind is telling us that should be happening. This conflict only makes it harder to deal with a situation. After all, the event did take place and the feeling is here, yet we do not wish for this to be a part of our reality. It begs the question, what hurts more? The event and the emotions triggered by that event, or the internal struggle we experience by our perception of that event and the emotion triggered? We will all come across unpleasant experiences in life, and in many cases we don't have control over what type of discomfort we will experience, but we always have control over how we approach it. By not resisting discomfort, we are choosing not to add suffering to the pain we are already having. To reduce the discrepancy between how we feel and how we want to feel, our minds develops all sorts of strategies to get ourselves back into stasis mode. But to actively try to diminish or control an experience requires energy. For example, when we suppress an emotion, we use a huge amount of energy not to experience that emotion. We can get so busy deploying all kinds of cognitive tricks to make us feel better that our energy gets depleted and it's no longer available for other activities such as healing and growing. Add to that, the more we struggle against an emotion or a feeling, the longer this tension lasts. We may attempt everything and anything to win this battle, such as denying it, distracting ourselves, normalizing it, and even positive think our way out of it. We primarily suppress our emotions and pretend they are not there, like somehow we forget that asking us not to think about an elephant will only make us think about it more. Want to see this feature in action? Let's do an exercise then. For the next 10 seconds, we invite you to control your thoughts. You're allowed to think of anything that you want, except the elephant. Every time you do think of an elephant, please register this. In other words, aim to suppress every thought of an elephant as much as possible. Go! Time's up. How did that went? If you're like most people doing this exercise, you will notice that it's really difficult to suppress the thought of an elephant. We would say it's almost impossible. Why? Because the paradoxical nature of suppressing thoughts is highly counterproductive. When we don't allow our emotions or feelings to be present, the focus on that very feeling or emotion inevitably increases. Not only won't they go away, but they will be triggered repeatedly and more easily. If we resist a particular emotion or feeling, it will continue to exist. By constantly struggling and fighting, the conflict is preserved. That is, what we resist persists, because this resistance not only reflects the boundaries of the comfort zone we have created for ourselves, but also only exists in relation to its opposite, which is what we wish to experience instead. The challenge that we face when we focus solely on judging and avoiding unwanted feelings is that it robs us the opportunity to train our brains to focus on creating its opposite, what we wish to focus instead. Practicing mindfulness can help us do this by stretching our comfort zone. It does this by practicing acceptance. Acceptance means seeing things as they actually are in the moment. Sometimes acceptance is reached only after we have gone through some intense emotional cycles of denial and anger. That is the thing about us humans. We have such an immense capacity to sustain pain and discomfort that we have normalized suffering. We see it as a part of life, unavoidable, and because of that, these stages are a natural progression in coming to terms with what is. Accepting what is reduces activity in our brain's default mode network. This region has evolved to solidify our sense of separate self through judging, or by comparing ourselves to others and projecting our individuality into the past and future. By repeatedly bringing attention to our breath or other sensory experience in the present moment, we begin witnessing our minds chatter. The sound of children playing in the neighbor's yard, an itch in our forehead, the vacation we have been meaning to take, or that funny scene we saw last night while watching our favorite show. Amidst all of this activity, we experience a depersonalization of the thoughts our mind is picking up on. When we observe our mind grasping and pushing away, we remind ourselves to let go of those impulses just to see what will happen if we do. If we struggle to let go of something because it has such a stronghold over our thoughts, we can choose to observe what holding on feels like. Holding on is the opposite of letting go. If we are willing to see how we hold on to our attachments, we can learn more about how we can experience its opposite. This flexibility is what ultimately increases our mental and emotional health. The art of creating yourself and showing up in the world is achieved through the practice of conscious awareness in everything that you do. When we can recognize how resistance to our pain is showing up in our lives, we learn not to feed it. For doing so will only lead us to more suffering. How can we mitigate that suffering? We will share a life-changing perspective with you in the next video. In the meantime, thank you so much for joining us today. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next week.